Hey YouTube, this week's episode of Hobby Talk, I wanted to talk about a subject that I've been thinking about here lately, and that is how do TCGs keep that delicate balance of staying relevant and staying in the public eye and surviving in this very tough, highly competitive TCG market. So many many there's different ways they can do it. Like with sorcery, they have stayed alive basically because they're keeping things, you know, keeping things low key. They're planning to do one set a year, keeping their sets top quality, um, and just printing as the supply on the market gets really low. They'll reprint some of the beta boxes to keep products in some of the stores that they sell in. But so the pros of that is that you don't grow too fast. Um, you have a slowly built loyal fan base. Some of the negatives are that with only one set a year coming out, it's kind of hard to keep um, keep hype going. And a lot of these TCGs they rely a lot on hype. So there's the sorcery method, then there's like the Metazoo method, which is like the complete opposite. Um, the Metazoo method was create a lot of hype, get a lot of YouTubers and Twitch people to really pump up your product and build up a hype storm, and then start cranking out boxes. And each set, like doubling your print run. And guess what? They went up like this. Everybody was hearing about Metazoo, and then they completely crashed. And now they're dead game and bankrupt. And just a horrible reputation. So there's the Metazoo method. Now, Metazoo did do some things right. I feel like they kind of introduced serialized cards into TCGs. Um, I think Magic took that idea from them because I think Metazoo was the first one to do it. Maybe I'm wrong, but I will credit Metazoo for getting serialized cards into TCG games going. They had really nice cards. They're really cool cards, but just a terribly ran company. Everybody knows this now that they were just not a good company, and obviously got very greedy and collapsed. You look at two of the more recent games that are out now, like Lorcana and One Piece. Um, One Piece is really running into this right now, where they came out with actually One Piece and I think more than Lorcana, the Star Wars Unlimited is more like what One Piece is going through. One Piece very popular, um, but they just didn't print a lot of their boxes, and since they're like putting out sets pretty rapidly, but you know there's enough demand for their boxes as the sets were coming out that they're keeping up very well. But the problem for One Piece was that when you don't print a ton of boxes, of course there gets to be and your game is good, there gets to be a lot of hype for your game. Of everybody's like, "Whoa, these boxes are worth twice as much as I paid for them," and then they start getting flipped and this sort of thing, where uh, bought out, and where the people that want to play the game can't find the packs at a good price to play the game, and then you start choking your game off by not having enough stuff out there. Maybe the cards are very collectible, but if people can't play the game and are giving up because they can't find product, they're going to abandon the game, and then that could kill your game. Now, One Piece, they seem like they've gotten caught back up with the print runs, where supposedly they're doing reprints of most of these sets, which is going to hurt their buzz as far as being like, oh man, you can make good money with One Piece, but it also will lead to more people being able to play the game, which is the lifeblood of your TCG. You have to have a player base, and the player base has to be able to get packs. And so I predict you're going to hear a lot of people talk about One Piece is dying. That's because people hyping the stuff up and just caring about making money on the boxes are worried that their box prices are going to tank, and so they're going to talk negatively about it. But this is something that Bandai probably needed to do, or else their game was going to just get choked out of people, the players getting frustrated that they can't ever find product. So that brings us to like Lorcana. Lorcana started off extremely hype, like every big TCG that comes out nowadays. People just go nuts over it, and Lorcana was no exception. The first chapter, those boxes were super expensive, way over the retail price. And Lorcana, I think Lorcana is following a little more of the Metazoo plot line than like a One Piece. Because Lorcana, they are printing to demand. Well, Metazoo didn't really print stuff to demand. They just made an irrational number and said, we're printing this many of this set, and not paying attention to what's going on around them. Lorcana's like, hey, first chapter was huge. Let's print twice as many for the second set. Okay, those are selling good. Okay, and let's print more of this set and go back and reprint first. And pretty soon, you've gotten to the point now where with Ursula's Return, the newest set, they're like, you go to Target, I go to my local Target, and there's like 20 pegs loaded of Lorcana Ursula's Return, and nobody wants to touch it because it's everywhere. We've reached overprinting on Lorcana. So they've definitely kept up with the demand of their product. And now it's kind of like Lorcana's losing steam because it's like, oh, nobody must want this game because I see it everywhere. You know, you get this perception that it must not be that good because the packs are so easy to get. So they're kind of like the opposite of how One Piece was going. So Lorcana's definitely, their goal was to be readily available for packs to be bought. I don't know if One Piece was that way. I think they wanted some collectability, and you know, their game happened to be really good, and their IP was really good. So Lorcana's probably getting what they wanted, where the packs are everywhere, but I think their game is going to lose steam because they're not considered like a rare game, or the cards are not that rare, you know, that sort of thing. The collectability side is going to suffer, but maybe their gameplay will strengthen. You have like Yu-Gi-Oh! Yu-Gi-Oh! Has been around for, I don't know, 25 years at least. They've had 25th anniversary games. So Yu-Gi-Oh! Has figured out a way to always survive, but they have I think their game is a fun game. I know my kids, they loved Yu-Gi-Oh! They love playing Yu-Gi-Oh! More than Pokemon. And the packs are very cheap, very available, but I don't know if there's a lot of collectability on the collectability side outside of like the original, the old school Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards. But they've kind of survived as being like a nostalgic game. People look back like, oh, I loved playing Yu-Gi-Oh! When I was a kid, and they still make Yu-Gi-Oh! Stuff today. But Yu-Gi-Oh's huge as a TCG, but it doesn't seem like it's super relevant. You look at Magic the Gathering, of course, they are the TCG that kind of started TCGs. They have, I think what's hurt Magic the Gathering is the fact that there's so many gatekeepers of the hobby of collecting Magic cards. It's pretty funny. If you go watch videos and stuff of people that want to open, you know, the old vintage Magic the Gathering packs to relive, you know, that newness of when Magic was new, they're all really old. And it's definitely, in my eyes, it seems like a old person's game, where some of these other games are more um, gathering a younger audience. But the some of the new sets are really cool. I think that them going to Universes Beyond is kind of like breathing some new life into Magic, like the Lord of the Rings set, Fallout, Assassin's Creed, all these Doctor Who. They're going to be doing a Final Fantasy Magic the Gathering. That's going to be huge. I'm definitely looking to buy a couple boxes of that. So Magic the Gathering is kind of like you have the old vintage, the older player crowd that doesn't like the new stuff, and you have the people that are kind of into the newer, more non-traditional Magic fan base. And though the new stuff is actually kind of making its own way, they're just in the gatekeeping of the old school Magic the Gathering people. The 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 prices are insane for old Magic stuff, and it's basically there's no one that with that can afford any of that kind of stuff. So of course, if they want to play Magic the Gathering, they have to go to the new stuff, and that old gatekeepery thing. And this is what I mean by old gatekeeper. Try to find out info about some of the original Magic games. It's just not out there. You look for YouTube, you see a bunch of old guys opening packs, but they don't really talk about, like, okay, this is how you tell an alpha card from a beta card. They don't want people learning about their old school hobby. That's annoying and kind of a turnoff for that game. You look at like Pokemon. Now they do also have the people that love the vintage stuff and don't like the new stuff. But there's plenty of information out there where you can research and find out, okay, this is a first edition base set Pokemon card. This, the information's out there. They don't have the gatekeepery attitudes. Now, Pokemon, throughout its history, has probably done this better than any other company as far as staying relevant. They always keep the game fresh. Like every set, it's adding something new twist to the gameplay, a new function or something, and they have the delicate balance of knowing how much to reprint stuff, because they pay very close attention to the player base, how the game's being received, how much the boxes are selling for on the secondary market, and they know seems like they've messed up a few times before, but they usually know the exact amount to reprint and keep that balance. And Pokemon makes money. I mean, and if you buy a sealed box of Pokemon, when it comes out, don't buy them when they get expensive. But when you buy Pokemon boxes when they come out, they're almost always printed at the right amount and availability where the prices are not high, and over time they usually go up in value if you wanted to keep some boxes sealed. So they've done a really good job of keeping the players happy and keeping the people that want to collect their cards happy, where some of these other companies are really struggling with that. So that is what I'm talking about the delicate balance is, a company knowing, okay, we want to grow, we want to have product available to feed our growing player base, but we also still want to be viewed as collectible, where people, want to buy a box to put away or collect the cards. That aspect of it's a TCG, it's or a CCG, a collectible card game, a trading card game. People want to build sets, build up their binders. That's what makes TCGs work, is having collectability and availability to the people playing the game. And it's always like a constant struggle for some of these companies to figure that out. And if they fail, like Metazoo, they die. Alright, thank you for watching. Stay tuned for more videos later.